700 and some recordings on voice memos, and that's not happening.
So is that recording?
Do what?
That's recording.
Yeah, then I'll edit all that, like, since we haven't started yet, when we get done. Before I put that out on anything, I'll make sure it's. All right, we'll start her up. All right, here we are. How's it going, Marcus?
It's going pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we've had, we've already had about a 45-minute drive. We've had some spaghetti.
Yep, I'm full. Nice and full.
Yeah, tell what my wife all she make.
Oh, she made some spaghetti, nice salad, garlic bread, and she made sure I had some dessert, some nice chocolate chip cookies. So
That's right.
helping a fat kid like myself is perfect.
We were also talking, my son last night just got not brand new, should say something's new when it's 40-something years old, but an old school Nintendo. And what'd you have to say to him about that?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure all my Pac-Man lovers out there, they understand the patterns that it takes to compete to beat the game.
Right.
And so you can't beat the game, but just to clear the boards, everybody knows it, those goblins, whatever you want to call them, there's a pattern that they work the board. When you master the pattern, you'll master the game.
There you go. So now he's got something to work for.
Yep.
It's funny though, because we were talking too, man, those little Nintendos, now you just got that little chip and there's like 600 some games that come with them. It's just.
Yes, I have that same Nintendo. I love it, but I only play like 3 to 4 games. I'm an old school Pac-Man guy. I love all the Mario Brothers and then Galaga.
Gotcha.
Those are my favorite games.
So you never got into like Double Dribble or anything?
Probably back then, but not now.
Right, gotcha. I love watching those and then seeing the graphics now and back then, man.
Oh, it's definitely the Stone Ages. When I look at some of the graphics on that Nintendo, it's totally different than when I cut on my PS4.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Well, man, we're talking so much on the way here and everything, but we were. Why don't we just kind of start from the beginning here? Maybe I'm sure Illini fans obviously know who you are, but just in case, maybe get a little refresher. Give some of the youngsters maybe a little refresher on who Marcus Griffin is.
Well, Marcus Griffin was a kid from Peoria, Illinois. Was part of the four-time state champions at Marion High School. And then I took my ball and I ended up going to junior college where I was player of the year as a freshman and National Junior College Player of the Year as a sophomore. And then I went on to the University of Illinois where I led Big Ten championship my senior year, was the co-captain of the Fighting Illini Elite 8 appearancing team. We was the number overall seed, I believe, that year, and now I'm just a manager at Frito-Lay.
There you go. It's awesome. So, man, I'm not going to get to that. We can get to that game later, by the way.
Oh, a lot of if there's one basketball game that I have watched more, it's that Arizona game.
So you do. So you're not somebody that has the attitude like I can't watch that. You're the opposite.
No, it took me a long time to watch it.
Yeah.
It took me years to watch the game. But then when I watched it, I dissected my play.
Gotcha.
Very critical eye.
Right. Yeah, that was. Anyway, we'll get to that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're young. You're growing up. You are. We're 6'9".
6'9", yes.
Okay. So were you always tall? Did you hit a big growth spurt?
I was taller than everybody else, but I still hit a big growth spurt. I think going in my 7th and 8th grade year, I got extremely tall, and that's when everybody really wanted me to start playing basketball. So that's when I went out for basketball at Treeland. That was the middle school, Treeland Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
That was my middle school, and then that led me going out for basketball my freshman year.
Gotcha. Okay. I do impressions, I do impersonations and everything. So I'm gonna give a Marcus Griffin impersonation from approximately 30 years ago when he found the brackets to the Topper Classic at Danville High School Okay, so here's Marcus Griffin going through. It's like, okay, we play Chicago King. They got Rashard Griffith, Thomas Hamilton, 2 7-footers. That's fine. I can deal with that. Yeah, we're gonna play Farragut. They got Roddy Fields and Kevin Garnett. Okay, I'm fine with that. That's fine. We're gonna play Danville High School. They got Keon Clark, and they got, I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Oh shit. Crispin High School, John Heath. No, I'm not doing that. He
That
shoots
was a problem.
57% from 3. We don't want him, and we don't want any of that smoke, as Charles Barkley says. We don't want that
We
smoke.
don't want any of that.
Coach, forfeit. Be reasonable. We can't. You give me Garnett, fine. Fields, fine. Keon Clark, fine. But don't make me try to guard John Heath in Crispin High School. Come on. Be reasonable, coach. It's like,
Yeah, it was a lot just like that. Coach McClain was just like, Marcus, I know this is a matchup nightmare for us, but we got to figure it out. We got to dig down deep. They're going to exploit us. They're going to put you out there on an island. I hope you can play defense, slide your feet, maybe block a couple of shots, rebound the ball. And I ended up thinking we did a pretty good job.
yeah. Listen, see, it's just funny how bigger towns and small towns, because for us, we were just like, man, we get to go play them, and you guys are probably like, what the hell we getting matched up with these guys for? But
You'd be surprised on how often that happens, because even for tournaments, like there were some tournaments that people will come to Manual and play us.
yeah,
And I already knew it was probably there. We get to play the 3-time state champion Manual at their
Right.
court, but then you actually have to play the game, and then you're
Yeah.
like, I see why they're the 3-time state champions, because we didn't even get 25 points.
right, yeah. It was, well, I've told this a couple times too, but I haven't said it on air, but I remember come off the pick, getting open for a 3, didn't pump fake. Not that it would have mattered, he just would have pushed me back where I was probably anyway, but Marcus sent that ball about 8 rows deep, but right behind me, there's this swat. I went up for a 3, and he just swatted it up way up into the
If you want to shoot it right in my face.
See, but I wasn't. Your arms were so damn
Yeah.
long. You just got I felt like you were on the block, and you just kind of took a step out and just swatted it.
I got a 7'3" wingspan or something like that, so
Yeah.
I can close out. That's why I tell a lot of guys now, you don't have to be the fastest. All
Yeah.
thing you gotta do is put yourself in the proper position. If you're in the proper position with a long wingspan, you can cover a lot of ground. And just this time, I was in the proper position, and you went up for the shot, and I just wanted to see if I can get it to the
Yeah.
people in the first, second row.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was. I remember also the only other play I remember out of that game was I couldn't get open, obviously. So, but my coach would let me shoot from like 25, 26 feet, because I could, it's fine. But I couldn't get open, so the ref was that far back. We were running underneath the basket play, and I went right off that ref's shoulder, and he didn't know it, and I got it. They threw it into me, and I hit a 3, but I used the ref as a pick because I couldn't get open on my. I couldn't get open on my.
Sometimes you got to use what's out there to benefit you. The ref was in the proper place on the court that you can curl around. There you go.
Yeah. Hey, before we get into all your everything, like you're the first person that's been in here since I've redone everything. So you like it in here? What do you?
Oh, it's a nice cozy spot. I'm looking at a bunch of pictures and everything of some of the greatest shows that's ever been out. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen The Wire, everybody's
Yes.
seen The Sopranos, everybody done seen Seinfeld. Of course, everybody has laughed their butts off watching Delirious with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And then I told him I'm a quiet movie lover,
Yeah.
but the TV show The Monk,
Yeah, Monk.
that's my show.
Yeah.
That's my TV show.
Yeah. I got it over there. It was great. His OCD and everything. He's just a lovable little guy.
You gotta have your germ stuff, because every time he touches somebody,
Yes.
he's germing his hands down. Great TV show.
Yeah, and that's what you were talking about when they came back with that new one, and they showed him through COVID. Oh man, he was.
You know how? Yeah, he's an OCD with COVID. Oh my God, he was losing his mind,
Yeah, it's
losing his mind. But it's great. If you haven't watched it, guys, definitely pick up the show. The Monk
Yeah, Monk. It's a great show.
used to come on USA Network.
Yep, that's right. And that picture right there above TV, that's my dad. He passed away in 2020, but there's a girl who, that's not even a picture. She sketched that. She's only 12 years old, and she did that.
If she's 12 years old doing something like that, I'm gonna have to get her. I can only imagine what she's going to be
Yeah,
in
she's
5 years with some training.
right. No, that's nothing compared to some other stuff she's done. She gets in
Wow.
contests and stuff, and
That's amazing.
yeah. So, but all right. So I kind of jumped a little bit, but you said you started playing when you were a freshman. But maybe talk about you talk about Sergio, you guys were the same class, did you guys go to the same, like, elementary school, junior high, and that, not until high school?
I did not know Serge at all until my freshman year. I knew Frank. Me and Frank grew up together.
Gotcha.
Like me and Frank, we went to the same middle school. I can remember our PE coach, our PE teacher, Coach Westendorf, who used to be the assistant coach at Manual.
Yeah.
He was the gym coach. He was the gym teacher at Tree Wind.
Yeah.
So he will always give us candy bars and see who played one-on-one and see who wins. Frank won a lot of those games, but he was just preparing me for what was to come.
Yeah.
But yeah, Frank's father and my father used to always knew each other, and then me and Frank grew up with our brothers and siblings all grew up together. They all went to Tree Wind. I didn't meet Serge until my freshman year in that.
Gotcha.
Well, that summer going into the freshman year.
Right. And you were one grade ahead of Frank.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Like
So-
my freshman year was Frank's 8th grade year.
Right. And then, okay, so when, let's say, in junior high, how successful were you guys, middle school, I guess you call it, I mean, were you, were you always just post, were you always big?
Yeah,
Did you ever?
No, I didn't play basketball. My 8th grade year was the first year I've ever played basketball.
Wow.
I was terrible. I did not know. We played basketball in the neighborhood, but not organized basketball. But we won the city championship my 8th grade year.
Huh.
So honestly, if you want to break it down, I won 5 championships in a row. If you want to look at my 8th grade city championship, we won at Tree Wind, and then we won all the ones in high school.
Gotcha. But the first year you played organized ball was 8th grade?
Yes.
Wow. How tall were you in 8th grade?
Oh, I was about 6'5", 6'6".
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew that summer. I really grew my 7th and 8th grade summer.
Yeah.
I grew crazy. I was having body issues. My knees,
Right.
bones was just growing. But yeah, I grew 6, 7 inches. If you see my pictures with me in school, I was 8 foot taller than every teacher. Outside Coach Westendorf, like my teachers was coming to my waist.
Right.
I was so much taller than everybody.
Gotcha. So then once you start getting to high school with Manual, I mean, is that something where, because like I said, Hester would have been a senior in the 8th grade. And I remember them, Manual, being at the top of the class up there, playing against like King and Farragut and all that, Hester's senior year. And now when he goes on to U of I, and then you guys are in high school now, but how long did it take before you guys were playing varsity? Was there a couple seasons of JV in there, or was it just straight to varsity? How was all that?
No, for me, Hester, I think Hester was going a couple of years because when I came, we had to start Brandon Hughes. Brandon Hughes was all-world football player, all-world basketball player, the man. And so he was the lead guard on our squad. So for me personally, it was a lot of going back and forth because at that time I did not know where basketball stood. It took me a long time to figure out what basketball meant to me. So I didn't go back. I went back and forth, quit a couple of times, didn't want to do it. Mom forced me to come back. Mom didn't want me to be a quitter. So I went back and forth from freshman to freshman to varsity, sophomore as a freshman playing sophomore to varsity, freshman to varsity, and then eventually varsity still. And
Right.
so we was on it from our freshman year on.
Yeah. When do you start to see yourself being like, oh well, this could maybe be something right after high school that could be a thing
Oh,
here?
not for, man, it was, just to think about that, it takes you back. I didn't believe, because I would say as a sophomore, I wasn't even sold in basketball. Because I didn't know, because for me, personally, it was a lot of being directed what to do early at my young age because of my mom. We grew up in a bad neighborhood, south side of Peoria.
Yeah.
It's rough. And she did not want me to follow in anybody else's footsteps. She didn't want me to be out on the corners or doing anything. And I can respect her for that. So it was more, you have to do this type of situation.
Right.
I can't have you coming home in the afternoons, getting in trouble. So this is what we're going to do. And so it took me it took me a couple of years, like 2 to 3 years, before I actually start to fall in love with basketball.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, talk about some of those state championships, man. I mean, what did you have? Obviously, you get 4.
Yes,
That's-
4.
that- I mean-
Wonderful.
You talk about an amazing accomplishment to win 4 of those in a row with all of the competition in this state. Just to kind of elaborate on that a little bit. I mean, there's 4 of them, so obviously you don't have a favorite, you should have a favorite, least favorite, or whatever, but do you have anything? Was one season harder than the other? Were they all, I mean, how was all that?
For me, before we start to talk about the state champions,
Yeah.
what got us to the state championships was our summertime. Our
Yeah.
summertime ball, open gyms at Manual was probably hardest things that we ever had to do, because we had some of the best basketball players that ever came through Manual, came through the city, will come back and battle test us.
Right.
So we had the David Booths of the world, former player Howard Nathan, former player Clint Ford, former player Brandon Hughes, Willie Coleman, Ivan Watson. We had all those great Peoria players coming back.
Mhm.
And those were some of the best players in their positions that ever came through the state.
Yeah.
And so that got us battle tested. So going into freshman year, I think we was probably the underdogs to win the state championship. We ended up beating Carbondale in the championship. Going to my sophomore year, I definitely believe we was the underdogs. I think we ended up beating Thornton in the championship. Junior year, I think we was the underdogs. They wasn't giving us our respect.
Mhm.
So we had to go out and show it. But the fun part, as we got older, a lot of the Chicago guys that was on the team, we started to be AAU teammates with each other.
Right.
So having that little rivalry was fun.
Yeah.
Being able to talk crap to Melvin Eli and a lot of those guys. And so I think we beat them 2 years in a row. Sophomore, junior year, and then we ended up beating the World Wrestling final. I say that was the hardest because
Your
if you
sophomore-
lose
sophomore
my
year?
senior year,
Senior year, gotcha.
if you lose that one,
Right, yeah.
or the other was because you was making history.
Right.
Like the third one was the tie history.
Yeah.
But that fourth one was to do something that no other team has ever done. So that was probably difficult because it was the system of how they played the game is totally different now,
Oh, yeah.
because it was one day and then you played 2 games on one day. Now it's 1-1-1.
Yeah.
And so we probably play that team 10 out of 10 times. We probably beat that team by 20 points on fresh legs or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But that game, they gave us, and it took some big stops, some big defensive stops, and then Serge making some big buckets to get us that fourth one home.
Right. Your sophomore year, would that have been, if it was Thornton, then did like Thornton beat Farragut or something? They had
Yes.
done that, and then Ty Streets, right?
Yep, that was the last year that the state tournament was in Champaign.
Right.
And so that was because we played Kevin Garnett and Rodney Fields and all those boys with a young Michael Wright on that team
Right, yeah.
in Danville earlier in November. And then we all thought it was going to be a rematch, but Thornton shocked the world
Yeah.
at Champaign. And that was a great game. I can remember Ty Streets almost taking off from the free throw line.
That's exactly,
in
I
that
can remember
game.
that. We were there watching, and, I got to play with Ronnie Fields on a summer camp. I had this sophomore, which it's almost embarrassing even telling you this because I don't know how I made this list, but like the top 42 sophomores in Illinois, my sophomore year in high school, like Mike Meninga had a thing
Yep.
made to him. And it was 42 of us, and man, I got to be on the same team as him. And
Rodney Fields.
him playing against people his same age, it was just not fair.
Rodney Fields, I can remember the 2 best jumpers that I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah,
Rodney Fields, Paul McPherson.
okay.
Paul McPherson was a left-handed version of Rodney Fields. And I was able to witness them to in a dunk contest.
Yeah.
Rodney Fields did 1 dunk.
Yeah,
One dunk. A 360, reverse 360 windmill. The same dunk that Vince Carter did in the dunk contest.
yeah,
Rodney Fields done this dunk 7 years prior to that
Yeah.
in Boston.
yeah.
And he had on some K-Swisses, no gym shoes, nothing. Was like, I don't feel like doing this, but if y'all want me to do this, I'm gonna give y'all 1 dunk.
Right.
And I'm talking about, didn't stretch, didn't get loose,
Yeah.
nothing. Walked out there, did it, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
like that's a whole another level of athlete. And Paul McPherson came out and did it with the left hand. I was just like, we're witnessing something
Right.
that might not ever be seen again.
Yeah.
And it was great to watch.
Yeah, that night, we had our, like, last game, and then they had a dunk contest, and they brought in, like, Kawan Garris to be one of the judges, and, Robert Bennett, I remember him, he's kind of a wiry guy, he's like a forward, small forward,
Yeah.
power forward. Anyways, he did one, he did that when you were talking about, then he did another one, where he brought in a bunch of kids, and had them all kind of
He jumped over him.
curl up, but he jumped off 2 feet, he didn't
Yeah.
jump off one, and they were lined up down near the free throw line.
He was a freak.
He
Like,
jumped off 2 feet and jumped over all those kids.
he was a freak athlete. Like,
Yeah.
I can't put anything on his athletic ability. He was probably never seen. You had Zion Williamson recently, but before Zion, there was a guy called Rodney Fields.
Yeah.
And Rodney Fields was in a whole league of his own.
Yeah, he was amazing. But okay, so you guys are rolling along, whooping everybody in high school. When did college ball and where you're going to go, all that kind of stuff? When did all that stuff start taking place?
Well, that was sophomore year. All of that stuff started to happen sophomore year, and I had a vision, not until later on, that I could play college ball because I didn't know any. My mom was the only person that I knew that went to college, like
Yeah.
at a young age, and I didn't even know if that was a thing, like college, like from the Harrison homes, like what is college? And so as the attention grew, the college bug grew with it. So, and then we just had to figure out what we was going to do. And I came up with an idea. Serge and Frank came aboard, and next thing you know, we all was going to do it.
Yeah, it's awesome. What talk about those 2 years of junior college though? Like, did they help you? Those years help you at Illinois, like develop, because you dominated those 2 years.
Yeah.
Are you glad that happened? You feel like that was a pretty good springboard to Illinois, or would you have preferred this to be there off the bat, or what?
Let's be honest. In an ideal world, the basketball player I think I would have turned into at U of I at 4 years under that weight program, under the system, I think I would have been an all-time great basketball player at University of Illinois.
Yeah.
If I would have went straight to U of I. But I would have been a different type of basketball player. Because at that time, I wasn't known as a post, like you could throw the ball to the block and he can score. And so that's what I discovered in junior college. Like, I had a coach my freshman year, Mike Riley. He was like, Marcus, the offense is going to be yours. I want you to develop into a monster. I want you to have the ball on each block. I want you to have the ball at short course. I want you to have the ball at the high post. I want you to go.
Yep.
And getting that type of responsibility.
Smart coach.
Yeah, getting that type of great coach. But,
Yeah.
but giving a player like myself that type of responsibility was epic for my mental journey, for my basketball attitude. And so I learned how to score. I learned how to score with my back to the basket, going over my left shoulder, going over my right shoulder. I still had some of those moves in high school, but not to that level. Like, the offense was dictated around me.
Yeah.
And so I scored, and that developed me into a very good low post threat. And then when I got to Illinois, even being an undersized center like I was, but I was strong, I could hold my position, but I used my body a lot.
Right.
I understood angles. I understood, like, don't fight with somebody, let their own leverage work against them. And then I was able to score. I think I ended up averaging like maybe 11, 12 points a
You're
game
like,
for my
yeah,
career.
you're like 11 and 6.
Yep.
Like that, so, how much weight did you have to put on when you got to college? How much of a shock was that? Like a weight program, things like that? Like, were you, you were pretty skinny, weren't
Yeah,
you? Yeah.
going into high school, I was pretty skinny in high school, but I was hitting the weights and was taking body
Yeah.
just to get my body.
Back in our day, it was like the creatine.
Yeah, the creatine and everything, but everything was just about just getting stronger.
Yeah.
It wasn't about me putting on weight as much because U of I still wanted me to be able to get up and down the floor.
Right.
They wanted to have a big man who could get from point A to point B as fast as almost any guard, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
Like, I was able to hold my own, keep the big guys off the glass, and I can just sprint the floor. And you see so many balls over the top. Frank handed me just drop down passes because the bigs couldn't keep up. And then I was able to establish early post position as well.
Yeah.
Because you give me a small guy, and then I knew basketball, so when the big guy's trying to catch me, if I can get the initial pass, continue to hold that contact to when the ball can catch me, and I still got the big guy on the top side, and you can still throw the ball up. So
Right.
it ended up working smooth transition.
Yeah. All right, so let's say you get to your junior year, that U of I, got Coach Self.
Yep.
Okay, thoughts on him?
Oh, Coach Self, we did not know as a group on the levels of what hard work was.
Yeah.
And we thought we was working hard until he showed us what hard work truly was.
Yeah.
Because he said, this is where y'all at. If y'all want to get to cutting down the nets at the end of the season, this is a level that we got to take it up to. And we was not there.
Right.
But yeah, we ended up getting there because like boot camp was real. I don't know if he still does boot camp for part of his conditioning. It was a 10-day. That's all it was. This was like you do a lot of basketball activities and all that good stuff, but the main focus was a 10-day period of time, which you would start at 4 a.m. and then you would go to work.
Right.
Agility stuff, weightlifting, conditioning. Go to work. It prepared you to be able to run 30 suicides in 30 minutes, 20 22s in 22 minutes, and then you had to run an under 6-minute mile.
Ooh, nice.
Yes, it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah.
But again, though, we was trying to do something. We had to go through these things to do something that no Illinois basketball team has ever done before. So that means mentally we had to be prepared for any and all things.
Right. Okay, so that junior year, how far did we make it on your junior year?
We lost to Florida in the second round.
Yeah.
And that was not a good year because that's the year I tore my leg up.
Right.
And so I was never right the whole rest of the year. I probably came back too early from after that. I think I was 3-4 weeks out of my surgery, and then I was back dressing and ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably and that was my decision, probably not the best decision for me with life after basketball, but I never got that leg back right. It was good, but it was just, I never had my explosion. If you ask the people who saw me prior to that, how high I could jump and all that good stuff, it never got back to that level.
What was the official diagnosis of that?
Tore my meniscus.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
gotcha. Yeah.
My first Big Ten, the first actual practice for the Big Ten season.
Right.
Because it was all preseason and non-conference. And then I remember the first couple days in January, practicing in the Assembly Hall, that's when I messed up the knee.
Yeah. Funny thing is too, like back then and now, those kind of injuries, now they you heal up so much quicker for all the stuff, different stuff they have. Yeah.
Oh, that's the stuff, like keeping the swelling out. That is huge. If you, whatever you're doing, if you can keep the swelling off the knee, they can come back sooner because then that just elevates all the other things, getting the range of motion, getting the strength. But it starts with the swelling because you can't do many of that.
Yeah.
The swelling is loaded up in the knee. So if you can keep that swelling off, then that process of getting them back faster is elevated.
Yeah. Okay. I hate to talk about this, but your senior year, it was a hell of a year. Great year. One
Big
seed.
Ten champions.
One seed.
Big Ten champions.
Yep, absolutely. It's still, I wasn't even playing. I think
The worst game, that was the worst game of my basketball life.
Yeah.
I just, like, we're young and we think that we can adapt to how officiates call basketball games. But that game.
There's a limit though, man. That was,
Yeah, that game was different. We come to the game, we felt like these two teams have played each other 2 additional times.
Yeah, that's another thing. Why don't we preface all this by saying you guys had a rivalry built in there.
Yeah.
For sure, and maybe get into that a little bit too. Yeah.
The team that we're talking about is Arizona.
Yeah.
We played Arizona in Maui at the beginning of the year for the Maui championship. That was a great game. Came down to, I think, 3 to 4 point game. They had a big lead on us. We come running back with Sean Harrington, Corey Bradford, Frank Williams making some big time plays, and then we just fell short. And then I think mid-December, like December 15th or something, we played them again in a home away from home game at the Chicago United Center, which that game, if y'all don't know, we used to sell out the United Center.
Oh, yeah.
At the University of Illinois, we would sell out the United Center.
That used to be a real big deal.
Yeah, and that game was, again, you got 2 top 5 or 2 top 10 ranked teams going at it. Michael Wright is making his return back to Chicago because, you know, that's where he grew up. But we got the victory. It was a tough, solid victory. That was the game I think Corey Bradford had his streak of 3-pointers. He hit the most consecutive threes in a game, and I think that was the game that he did it in. And it was a solid win for us. And then you head into the tournament. Both teams don't believe Arizona should have been in our bracket, but hey, that's another story for another day. I felt like if there was a 2 seed that was better than them, I didn't see it because I felt like they was they could have been a 1 seed.
Right.
And
It's
so-
almost like they kind of gave us the lowest number 1 seed and gave them like the highest. So it's almost like they thought we were 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know. So, but anyways, yeah.
And so the game was a good game. It was a back and forth battle. Arizona was stacked. They had a center named Lauren Wood. They had a big guy named Michael Wright. Then you had Luke Walton, and then
They did.
and then you had Gilbert Arenas, and I cannot think of the other point guard.
Wasn't Bibby, was it?
No, that's not that. No, Bibby was gone. I can't think of the other point guard. But
They
yeah,
had a Miles. Miles Simon or something like that.
no, that was after. That was before
Okay.
us.
Yeah. See, I'm getting my time frame.
But they had a great team. They came off the bench with some big players. But again, though, we was right there. Like we went stride for stride. We couldn't predict that the referees would call 55.
Yeah.
Like make them shoot 50 or so free throws what they shot for that game.
We had 6 guys foul out there.
Yeah, when we're into the game and you see how the referee's calling it, it's harder to adjust because how we played is how we played all year.
Yeah.
And I think in my career, I've fouled out 3 to 4 games while I was at Illinois. So it wasn't like that I was a high foul out type person. But I picked up my first foul, my second foul, real quick into the game.
Mhm.
1 foul because I was leaning too hard, pushing too hard. The second foul was a legit foul. But then you see all the other fouls start to pick up. And mentally, we gotta adjust how we play. But how we play is how we've been playing all year long.
Yeah.
And we've never had a situation like we had a war with Michigan State in Champaign.
Mhm.
A war.
Yeah.
And we didn't foul that much. No.
Right.
But this game, for whatever particular reason, the referees called it tighter than we've ever had. And
Well, see, can I give you a fan's
oh, go ahead.
Okay, you played earlier in the year. Lou Wilson makes all those comments about how rough you guys are. And
True.
saying all that stuff about Lucas Johnson being crazy and everything.
True.
Which is, that is true. But, you know, so it's like he's setting it up. And then,
Oh, he spoke it up. He definitely
Yeah.
played his part in bringing attention to the referees because the referees that we had, I don't think we know styles of playing conferences have a lot to do with a lot of things.
yeah,
And so I don't believe the referees that we had ever coached Big Ten teams.
right,
And so they wasn't accustomed to how physical Big Ten teams play.
yeah.
So you can take that for how you want to take
Right.
it. So
And rest in peace, Bill Walton, but how many games do you get where you get the announcer and his boys playing for one of the teams? Come on.
I think that's probably the only one that has ever happened.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just, you know, and Bill's just, I mean, you guys were playing, you did hear all the stuff you say, but, they're just terrible, they're so rough, you know, it's just.
Oh, I watched so the game that I watched is the TV version.
Mhm.
It was recorded. So
Yeah.
that's the game. That's when we can record on VCRs, kids. I know y'all don't know what a VCR is.
Yeah, I
But the
do.
VCR, yes. But yeah, I watched the actual game. The first couple times, I couldn't listen to him.
No.
But now I can actually listen to him. Rest in peace, Mr. Walton.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, having said all that, let's get into some of the positive stuff, because you guys were extremely successful those 2 years. So what do you have, How about a favorite team memory and a favorite individual memory you got while you're playing there?
Well, I can go favorite individual memory first. Favorite individual memory, I don't know if a lot of people know about wrestling, so I'm a huge wrestling guy.
Yeah, so am I.
And so back then, WCW had a situation that they had the Wolf Pack.
Nash, Sting.
Yep, so
Yeah.
they had the NWO, and then they had the Red and Black Wolf Pack. So me and Robert Archibald, rest in peace, my brother.
Yeah.
Me and Robert Archibald was the founding members of the Wolf Pack. Big Griffin, Big Nash. He used to call himself Big Sexy, but I would never call him that.
Yeah.
If you know Archie, he thought he was very, very attractive. But yeah, we would do the Wolf Pack sign
Oh,
all
yeah.
the time. We would do it together. But Arch was if you would have saw two different people become as tight,
Right.
that was my Wolf Packer right there.
Right.
So, but
That's awesome.
moments, it was so many of them to just put them in one. Are you talking about, do you want game playing moments or?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, how about, do you have an individual, I can get into some of your teammates and personalities and stories like that too, but like when you're just playing in Illinois, was there an individual, moment or individual game that just for Marcus Griffin sticks out that,
Oh, well, the shot that I hit against Wisconsin,
yeah,
because we missed that, we don't win that game, we don't win the Big Ten championship.
right,
Like, so everything, and it was I can remember we was getting outplayed the whole game.
yeah,
I can remember Coach Judson coming into the locker room, like, we don't lose, we don't play like this to Wisconsin, just getting in our asses and all that good stuff.
yeah,
And so we had to fight because Wisconsin was a team, they was a slow-paced basketball team. It's not the Wisconsin you see now that's
Right.
trying to put points on the board. They was methodical in their
the
approach.
longest time they were methodical.
Yeah, so if you got down 10 to 15 Wisconsin, it could feel like 20 to 25
Yeah.
because they would drain the shot clock. They're looking for the best. And so it took a hell of a defensive half to get back into the game. And then an out of bounds play that coach drew up in the timeout gave Sean Harrington multiple different looks to throw the ball into.
Mhm.
But I got a great backdoor pass. I got a great behind the back screen. I brought Frank to the ball. Sean threw it over the top, and
Yeah.
the rest was history. It was nothing but net. But just a quick note, I shot that shot 5,000 times in practice.
Right, yeah.
Like, that was a shot that I shot every single day. Coach Gillespie, they used to call them grip shots.
Yeah,
So you would shoot them at all angles of the front of the rim, 5 to 10 feet out. That was just all I would shoot every single day. So I could shoot that shot to this day with my eyes closed. I
Right.
still understand what I have to do.
yeah. Well, did he do a lot of, like you said, did he design that play on the spot? Was it a play he guys already had? I mean,
It was a play that we already had, but we switched people in position.
right,
So, because some people can jump better going off one leg, coming the other way. So,
Yeah.
and then, like, sometimes I think Frank took the ball out a lot, but in that type of play, if you have to, you want one of your best players to be able to catch the ball and score.
Yeah.
So he moved some pieces around the chessboard.
right. With Frank, how long, do you think he ended up being one of the best players to ever come through? But, it took him a little while to kind of get reeled in a little bit, would you say? I mean, as far as his style of play and things like that. I mean, with Frank, was there some growing pains there, or do you think he just came out a stud like as soon as he got there?
No, everybody will have growing pains.
Right.
That's just what it is. That's the nature of the beast. But fit is true. Fit is also a part of that. You got to make sure that you and coaches are vibing, and if it's not happening, it can be some growing pains. And so we all went through that. Everybody went through that. Serge went through that. I went through that. Archibald, Corey Bradford went through that. I think it's when you're getting to that level,
Yeah.
and the same with the rookies now that's in the NBA, WNBA. They go through those growth hurdles, and you just got to be mentally in there to stay mentally intact so you can go through that and you can come out better on the other side.
Right. All right, let's get into some of those teammates a little bit. So who said you and Archibald had a good relationship.
Yeah.
Who was, like Lucas is kind of portrayed as being the crazy one, but I mean,
He's the crazy you want on your team.
Right.
Lucas Johnson is.
Oh,
There's
yes.
not one person that has ever played basketball who would not want that man on
Right.
your team. And I want Lucas on my team 10 out of 10 games.
absolutely. Okay, but who's probably the funniest guy on the team?
Oh, man. The funniest guy. Jerence Howard.
Yeah.
Jerence Howard and Brian Cook would just be roasting each other from time to time on the bus.
Yeah.
You got Nate Mass that will be the dunk of the week. So we had a little board in the inside of our locker room
Yeah.
at the practice facility at the oven. And anybody who got dunked on, they would draw it on the board. They would draw the play. They would draw the person dunked it over whoever.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, we didn't have pockets of friends. We hung out a lot
Yeah,
together.
that's great.
Yeah. Like we all lived together. So until freshmen can move off campus,
Right.
we all stayed in basketball. Like my roommates was like one time my roommates was me, Serge, and Frank.
Yeah.
And then the other time my roommates was me, Serge, Frank, and Jeremy.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah. I'm stealing this from somebody, but they were asking, let's say, who would be, if one person on your team is gonna be late for stuff all the time, who would it be?
Frank. Frank, like, I'll say Mr. Williams, or I don't think anybody else. Yeah.
Frank, huh?
But I'm not gonna sit here and say that I did not have my days of being late, because I didn't have a car.
Yeah,
Like, I would say I have my days of being late probably more than anybody, because Frank had a car. So I would say me, myself, because 9 times out of 10, you've been on campus.
Yeah.
I would have to walk.
yeah,
And so if you get out of class at 1:50 and you didn't have a chance to get no lunch, and so I have to walk from middle of the campus, stop by somewhere to grab me something to eat, and then get all the way to 4th Street to get to Oven.
gotta be signing autographs too and everything, you know?
And so I said I have my days late. I would have Coach Roberts and Coach Gillespie, and then Coach Mack prior to him leaving. They would have me doing some sprints.
How about, picking up a check, like who's somebody who'll never do that?
Hold on, picking up a check? Picking up a check? We was college kids. We didn't have no money.
That's good, that's a good answer.
We didn't have no money back then. We was,
See, that, I asked that as kind of a segue to, we were talking about, NIL, so, speaking of not having any money, like, we were talking about on the way here, but, maybe give your thoughts on it, but also, you already answered this when we were off air, but, does it make you wish that you came around 25 years later?
no,
with the way things are now?
like, I don't live my mind on work like that. I'm
Mhm.
happy that we was able, all the college basketball players that had their hand in this happening now for this generation. I'm extremely happy for the guys, man, but I definitely think you need to put a cap on it because it's getting ridiculous. I want these kids they don't need to be rich coming into college. But now that I saw that the NCAA is allowing players to make a paycheck now over the NIL, it's only gonna get even more because you got some rich kids, and I just don't think they've earned that yet.
No.
Like, and for these guys to be making millions and millions of dollars coming to school, I think we teaching them they're not learning that discipline and all that good stuff that they need to be successful
Yeah.
further on in life. So
Well, that's what we were talking about too with, you're too young to have much money, and on the drive here, we're talking about like these classes you take that you're never gonna use any of this stuff, like they should be teaching like life skills and teaching kids how to take care of money. Not that I'm like a example, I mean, but I'm just saying like, actually teach these kids stuff they're gonna be using in their life, and especially ones like this, if you're gonna have that much money at that young of an age, you need to, that makes it that much more important, man. You gotta teach them, have classes where you're teaching them about retirements, teach them about how to open a checking account, teach them how to budget, teach them how to like I told you, like even how to like change a tire, just stuff like that, like life skills, you know, that's so much more important than all this other nonsense they teach. Like in high school, like I was telling you, like trigonometry.
Oh my God.
We ever gonna use that? Come on, man, that's just ridiculous, you know?
You only got a small population of the world that's using that level of math.
Yeah,
Like high-level accountants that's dealing with those type of numbers. But like you were saying, we definitely need to have more life lesson classes in school, like understanding 401k, understanding what IRC is, understanding all of that stuff, understanding how to move your money around, understanding bank accounts, understanding when, at what age should I start to have a bank account, how much money should I be putting in my bank account, how do I invest, learning all the sooner you can learn that as a society, the better we will be.
Right.
And especially when, like where I'm coming from in inner city, that stuff is not taught at all.
Yeah.
Like I did not learn that stuff until I was in my 20s,
right.
like mid-20s. And so if I could have learned that when I was younger, I'd be more secure now.
Right. But man, you think about these kids that aren't ready for that kind of money and that responsibility. And parents are always a problem when you throw that much money into it now. Like, you know, these college coaches, they're having to adjust on the fly. And there's been a few of them that have just gotten out because I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But yeah, that's between that and the transfer portal, it's a crazy time, you know. But,
Yeah, and I told you about my thoughts on the transfer portal. We're teaching these kids that your word and your contract, your signature doesn't mean anything.
right.
Just because it's a little bit too hard that they get a runaway. That's the worst advice that we can ever get to this next generation, because we all know I've been in this world for 45 years. You put your name down to something, it stands for something. Like you just can't take it up because you're upset. No.
Right.
The only time you need to be able to break your name off that contract, if your head coach leaves, if your head coach gets fired, if your head coach takes another job, then, because that's who you're tied to. But then after that, you should be able to do other things. Just because a coach tells you you're not going to start, you're not getting the playing time, that means you need to work harder, you need to dig in deeper, and so, but you do not get the transfer.
Right.
Can we switch seats? Yeah, that was hurting my butt.
Do what?
That was hurting my butt.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't got that much cushion.
Yeah, and I feel like with transfer too, and I've coached like junior high and high school, this kind of stuff too. Same kind of stuff. It's like kids, if they're not starting the first game of the year, half the time they just want to quit. It's like whatever happened to, like I remember, okay, and again we've talked about this before. I am on 1,000 times lower level than you with this stuff, but I remember like being a freshman, I dressed varsity, started JV, dressed varsity. And I remember all 5 starters were underclassmen on the varsity, and then we won like 20 games that year. So everybody's just assuming it's going to be the same 5 next year. But I was like, somebody's getting passed up, you know, and I shot every single day, and every, blah, 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 blah. And ended up, leading the area in threes as a sophomore, all that kind of stuff. Again, now, as you know, on a way lower level. It's like you saw on the way here, there's layers to this. We got our small town.
Yep, there's layers.
We got you guys. But, and now it's like kids, like I look forward to that. I'm like having that challenge in front of you, and it's the same thing I'm sure you had, being better than everybody else too, like you had to pass people along the way to get to where you were a stud and going to play basketball at the University of Illinois, Kids now, it's like, well, I'm not starting, so I'm just going to quit, or just have a bad attitude the rest of the year, blah, blah, blah. It drives me nuts,
Let me say this. So I understand everything. I just want to tell you a little quick story. So the statement that I'm about to make is the person that I was when I first came to high school was not the person that went to U of I. I was so shy and all this good stuff, going back to having to earn it. I remember I was an 18-year-old kid. I remember walking into the locker room at the University of Illinois after a basketball game, looking at all the bigs that they have on the team. And I literally said, hope y'all appreciate playing right now.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna be playing next year when I come in.
Right.
That was just my mindset.
Yes.
As a sophomore, freshman, and junior college.
Right.
That I was coming in there to take spots and to earn it though.
Right.
Because of my hard work and my talent. But to go back to what you said, but I think a lot of parents are to blame because I don't think parents are honest with their kids.
Yeah.
Or parents don't make their kids work as hard as they need to be working. As soon as, if your first level of adversity is in high school,
Yeah.
or whatever, that kid is in trouble. My first level of adversity is when my mom told me no for the 5,000 things that I wanted growing up.
Yeah.
Because we have to be able to learn that skill, that cope, early.
Yeah.
If these kids don't learn it early enough and they get to high school and college, and that's the first times that somebody's told them no, and they have to deal with it, they're not dealing with it. They're just gonna run away from it.
Right.
And that's what you see happening right now.
Yeah.
Guys are running. They're not used to dealing with that in real time. They don't have to deal with it in real time. So I don't even know why guys even sign letters of intent anymore.
Right.
Because if you can just break it, what's the point?
Right. Well, and you get there's, man, we're getting a soapbox, but like, there's also so many parents too, where you get in that car on the way home after the game, and it's the ref's fault, it's your coach's fault, blah, 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 blah. It's not your fault. You're perfect, you know. And you get these kids thinking that they can do no wrong, and that's bad. That's annoying too, because those are just crutches, you know. If you want to blame the refs, you blame like things like that. Like refs are going to make bad calls. That's just a crutch, you know. But there are so many where when they get away, they get with their parents, they get away from their coach, they get away from their team and stuff like that. The parents are telling them how perfect they are. You should be getting more shots. You know, your coach doesn't know what he's talking about. The refs are terrible. Blah blah blah. You hear all that, and the next thing you know, that kid's a problem, and he's you know.
My mom, I was lucky. My mom was not a basketball parent.
Yeah.
My mom was not a basketball parent. She did not give two craps about basketball. She wanted me to be happy.
Yeah.
And so when I would come and talk to her about basketball, I'd get off my soapbox and complain about everything and all the refs. And she would then say, what could you have done better?
Right.
Like, what did you do wrong?
That's a great mom right there.
What did you do wrong? I hear, but you complain about all the refs. You complain about how the refs call these stupid fouls on you. But what could you have done to make sure you got a different outcome?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, Mom, I couldn't. Because, no, what could you have done to got a better outcome? I was like, well, I did miss those 3-4 rebounds. I didn't block out my guy right. He got an offensive rebound over there that led to an and 1 foul for serve. I had these 2 turnovers. So before we point the finger at somebody else, be willing to look at yourself in the mirror.
Right.
And she was my #1 critic, so
Yeah.
it made it easier for me to take that criticism from everybody else.
Right. See, and that's why you ended up being as successful as you were too, because you had somebody like that telling you the right things
Oh yeah.
rather than
My mom was
making excuses for you.
My mom was she was a strong woman. I love her, miss her to this day. She was not a BSer. She didn't blow smoke up your ass just because you thought you wanted to. She was not that type of parent. She was cutthroat. She knew that she had to raise a bunch of kids in probably the worst neighborhood in the Peak, but it was also the best neighborhood in Peoria because it's what we knew. It's Peoria. It's
Right.
South Side.
Yeah.
But she had to set certain boundaries, certain rules. And hell or high water, she stood on that. She stood on business.
Yeah.
So if you messed up, you met the Reaper.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome.
She did not play. She
Right.
did not play. Love you, Mama.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's shift gears here for a second here. As put your fan hat up for a second. Who's your favorite? You said you were a Laker fan, but you got see, I got these old school '90s posters over here on this other wall over there, and like, but I got like Barkley and Jordan.
Yeah.
So when you're growing up, who are your favorite players?
So I look at this in 2 totally different time frames because the time frame that we was watching basketball on TV, it was Jordan.
Yeah.
And so because that was all that was on TV, but the time frame where I fell in love with basketball and that was everything to me was Kobe and Shaq.
Right.
Because I knew Kobe in high school. We all met in high school on Team Adidas and everything. They told us, I can remember somebody from Adidas letting us know that they had the next great big superstar coming, and it was Kobe.
Yeah.
And so I knew from then, and then when he got to the Lakers, and then before then Shaq came,
Mm-hmm.
that was just, I was a big guy.
Yeah.
I just loved, like at that time, I have a very outgoing personality. and then Shaq was that guy.
Right.
Shaq's personality was like that. But I love the bravado of somebody saying, I want to be better than everybody else. And people, a lot of people don't understand that because in their minds, they can't think about ever being better than somebody who they say is untouchable.
Right.
But for you to believe that deep down in your spirit,
Yeah.
that's the type of people that I want to rock with.
Oh, yeah.
I
Definitely.
didn't understand that.
Yes, sir. That's okay. Yeah, Kobe,
He was different, man.
he was for
I
sure.
wish that I would have been able, because Brian Cook ended up getting drafted by the Lakers, and Brian Cook played a couple years with him.
Right.
I wish that I would have been able to go back down there at some point and to be able to reconnect, just to tell him the memories of what he did for my life
Right.
as a basketball player, and how he pushed me to be better and be great, and not to let other people's opinion dictate your reality.
Right.
That was all because of him, because he led by that. And so, but I never got the chance, man. And Mamba, you are definitely missed.
Yeah. When you got done playing at Illinois, did you ever go overseas or do anything, or what? Or,
Yes, I went overseas for a little bit, but I got sick.
yeah.
I got sick, ended up having heart surgery, and then that was the end of basketball.
Gotcha. I feel like I might remember that. But, well, let's see here. So you got your favorite players. We got your favorite memories. You talked about the transfer and IL, all that good stuff. What do you think about Illinois' the state of the program now? I guess before we.
Coach Underwood is amazing. Like, he was in Illinois when we was trying to do our thing. And I think he was at Western at the time.
Yeah.
Back all those years, I think he has a great hand on the pulse. He's a player. He rides for his guys. He's personable. He has all those qualities that make him a great coach. But then on the other side, he's tough.
Yeah.
And he's tough and fair. He
Yeah.
just wants you to work hard. Give him that same energy on the offense that you give him the same energy on defense that you give him on offense, and he just wants you to be there for each other as teammates, and who can argue against that?
Right.
And he got us nationally every year, nationally ranked. You know, we went up against a buzzsaw in UConn this past Elite Eight. We wish that game would have turned out so much differently, but
Yeah.
it didn't. But I know he's rebuilding. He's trying to have a juggernaut this year. We just got to wait and see how the team gels and everything.
Yeah.
But I think he got some good pieces.
Yeah, I do too. It's funny getting them to gel. I mean, that's a yearly thing now, you know.
But I'm pretty sure these guys right now are working. I'm pretty sure they're on campus right now,
Yeah.
getting familiar with each other, going to. I know Coach Flesh got a lot of these guys in the weight room, banging it out. He needs to get me in the weight room so I can lose some of this weight. But I know these guys right now are starting to build those relationships, because this time right now is when you start to build the relationships, build the camaraderie that you're going to need for March and April.
Definitely, yeah. All right, well, this has been fun, man. We, like I said, what'd you think of this drive, by the way?
Oh.
We were talking most of the time, so it didn't seem as long, but
The drive was fun. We had great conversation the whole time. But man, I'm very honored that you wanted me to come on.
Oh, man,
Anytime, I'm gonna do my part to try to get you some other guys to come out here, my man.
yeah,
But yeah, whatever you need from me.
yeah, that was great. Yeah, and I just wondered about halfway through this drive if you were looking around, okay, where the hell's he taking me? This is like, because we're out here, man.
We out here. It's definitely far, but man, I love, like I was telling you, I can live out here. I don't have any problems. If I can see my neighbors, they're too close.
Yeah,
I'm definitely about that life. If I can see the neighbors, they're too close. I love the space. I'll be sitting on the backyard. Only thing, y'all need to put some shade over the top
we do.
so it's not baking down. But other than that, y'all got a great property, great house.
Well, thanks a lot, man. Yeah, this, maybe we'll have you on again sometime. This is a lot of fun, but yeah, thanks a lot for coming, man. I
I'm
really,
here.
really appreciate it. I really appreciate it, man. We got a handshake here. Yeah, my son, real quick, he does a little, I asked him for a little sign-off line because he's in kindergarten. He told me just to clap my hands and say that's that, so that's what it is.
Okay,
All right, Marcus Griffin, thank you so much for coming on, man. This is awesome.
no problem.
All right, and that's that.
That's that.
Nice. Came out like right in an hour too. It was good.
That was an hour?
Yeah, I just think it was less or more.
Man, it didn't even seem like an hour. Yeah, that was my sugar going